people pull in from other areas with weeds and things still wet off the trailer. You know, they just back it down the ramp. So unfortunately, that's not always happening.
Okay, we got a caller. This is Doc from Pittsburgh, and he's our regular guy here. He's a very well-known educator in our area, John Hamels. So good morning, Doc. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Reed. I'm calling you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Can you hear me?
The Steel City. I see you. I can see you.
How do I look? Can you see me?
Yeah, I see you sitting on some kind of a railroad or something.
Yeah, I'm looking out to the rivers and the city. It's beautiful down here.
Yeah, they have 3 rivers conjoining at that point, right? The Ohio, the Allegheny, and the Monongahela.
Monongahela, exactly. Yeah. It's beautiful. Blue skies, and it's sunny down here. A little cool, though.
Well, up here it's all sunny, and the birds are chirping, and the flowers are blooming. It's beautiful.
So yeah, I hear you're listening about boats, huh?
Yeah, we're talking about boats. There's an awful lot to a boat rather than just jumping into and running around in the lake. You're going to have trouble.
That's for sure. That's why I don't have one.
Well, you're the only one in Chautauqua County who doesn't have one.
you know someone has one, huh?
I have 2. Are you kidding? I have 3, as a matter of fact. I forgot. I found an old aluminum boat with a hole in it, and we fixed that up, and it works all right now. But they're very small.
You don't put it in the water.
Well, they're very small boats. They're canoes. Actually, we live on Sea Lion Place. We have a little summer place there, and it's on a creek, and it has access to Chautauqua Lake. But the problem is you've got to go under the road. There's a great big sewer pipe, and it has a little bit of water in it, so you've got to kind of walk your boat through that, and then you're on the other side, and away you go.
Well, you got to do it like they used to in the old portage, portage.
Basically, that's what it is. Well, we have the canoes, and they work wonderful, and that little light aluminum boat. Then we go out and we catch our muskies. Lots of luck.
Well, listen, Reed, I wanted to tell you guys that last week, because I wasn't on the show, as you know, I was getting my fire commissioner training, as now I'm an elected fire commissioner. And I know that you're a part of the fire department, right?
Yes, I am.
And I just wanted to say to all of you, all the folks that are listening, all the volunteer firemen and women and the fire commissioners, they do a heck of a job for no pay. You know, you guys do an awesome job. In fact, I hear you sometimes on the scanner. I have to watch you on TV, and I got to listen to you on the scanner as well. Imagine that.
Well, we have a great fire department in Westfield. Unfortunately, the manpower has dropped sharply in all the fire departments. We used to have 78 members and a 50 potential waiting list. We're down to 42 members now, and that's it. Nobody's waiting.
Well, it seems to be true of a lot of organizations, but I'm the fire commissioner, 1 of 5 in Ripley, and learning a lot about it. But what a responsibility people have there in these jobs.
Well, it's 24/7, 360 a year, you know.
Yeah, but I know right now that this time of year, fire departments are having their banquets and so forth, and I just would encourage our listeners, if you know a fireman, to give them a pat on the back and thank you, because they're stopping what they're doing during the week, their jobs, or racing out in the middle of the night from bed to help every one of us to go wherever they've got to go. And even the fire commissioners, I didn't realize it was even a board of commission in many fire districts. They're like a school board. They're in charge of making sure there's policies followed and regulations and all that sort of thing. So it's a pretty busy job.
Yeah, well, in Westfield, they're just putting in a board of commissioners too for fire department. We've never had one before.
Wow. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And especially along with boat, there's always that boat safety thing, and I'm sure you guys are going to talk about that. You know, and the sheriff's department having their safety group that's on Lake Chautauqua and Kinley Lake and Lake Erie and so forth, and the firefighters that have to help. Sometimes not everybody gets the lessons that your guest speaker is going to tell them about and get the right gear, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, of course, and the principle of having a lifeboat for everybody on board is just silly. I mean, why wouldn't you? You shouldn't have to pass a law for that, you know.
Draw straws for the life jackets, sure.
Well, I used to sail quite a bit, and we always had a saying, you know, we sailed in a fairly shallow bay, and there was, if you're capsized, stay with your boat. It'll keep you floating, you know. And
sure.
a lot of people aren't smart enough to do that. They just go flying off or trying to swim somewhere. Just hang on to that boat. It'll float probably, you know.
Well, listen, I won't keep you take you much longer. Did you guys have a good St. Patrick's Day over there?
Well, I think St. Patrick's Day is already passed up here. They're just starting.
I know you're in the past.
I know you're behind us over there in Pittsburgh. You're about to have it.
Did you have a good St. Patrick's Day?
We sure did. We sure did. Actually, we had to defer it until Saturday. It was on Thursday. But none of our family could get together. Everybody was working. So we did it on Saturday, and we did the usual thing. Lots of green beer and some Ishkabaha, which is the water of God. And that's Irish whiskey. You know, the Irish tried to make Scotch for years. Couldn't get it right, so they threw in the towel and they said, all right, we'll call it Irish whiskey.
Well, we played over at that pub, Steener's over in Greenhurst last week. And I'll tell you, I haven't seen so much green of everything.
Yeah.
Hats and shirts and green beer. Yeah. We just had a great time. Yeah, well, listen, you enjoy the rest of the show, and hello to your guest today, and I'll be back with you all next Saturday. Okay?
Are you sure? Okay, looking forward to it, John.
You take care.
Thank you very much, and the best to you and your family. We look forward to it. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we always celebrate St. Patrick's Day. We're all Irish. Powers is like Smith in Ireland, you know. And the top-selling whiskey over there is Powers Irish whiskey, I might add. Beats Old Bush and the Paddies and all the rest of them down. They actually wouldn't even export it for a while because there was so much need in Ireland for it. Yeah. And so we have Irish flags. We have a bunch of Irish flags, and we dance and we sing and we tell jokes and we walk around march around with our flags on Main Street. And we have a great time at St. Patrick's Day. We're here with Ken Shearer, who's hardly had a chance to let out a peep because we have so many other things going on. But Ken was giving us a few ideas about getting your boat ready, check your impeller, get your battery hooked up. What else would you do? You paint it or anything, or what?
Some people use bottom paint on their boats. In our area, not a lot of people do. But if you're not going to paint the bottom, a good coat of wax is the best alternative. In fact, it's usually, for our area, better than the bottom paint because it's just easier to maintain and a little easier to do on your own.
I used to live on Long Island. Down there, you had to paint the bottom. You painted it with copper.
Yes.
Because the barnacles. We don't see any barnacles in New York up here.
Saltwater is a different story. Yeah. You know, bottom paint's a little more prevalent in saltwater areas.
So it was really serious. You had to do it. The zebra mussels, do they get on the boat? Do they get in there?
They do, but not as much as barnacles would. You know, we have boats that sit at the dock most of the summer, and some of those boats, yes, they have barnacles on them, but for the most part, you'll find it a little bit on the aluminum outdrives, but not actually on the fiberglass.
Well, of course, everybody's scared to death when the zebra mussels came along, and then they introduced some other animal. I don't know what they are, kind of a wally-polly or something like that, like a snake almost. What do they call those?
Kind of like a mud puppy type.
Yeah, they are like them, but they're longer.
And I can't think of the name of them right off my head, but.
Well, at any rate, they found out that these things really grew rapidly in the lake because they eat mussels.
Yes. And the mussels cleared the water up incredibly, which is both the good and bad. You know, it's great to see that clear water, but it also lets a lot more sunshine through there and makes the weeds grow a little faster. So you've got the, the good and bad parts of mussels like you would do anything else, I guess, in the ecosystem.
Okay, those gollies, though, they eat the mussels, and then they were very concerned there'd be so many of those. They eat the fry and the eggs and everything of the bigger fish.
Yes.
And so then it took 5 years, a 5-year period before a new comer into a lake is recognized as food. 5 years, then the bass and the perch and the pike realize the mollies are good to eat, the gollies or whatever they're called, and they've been snapping them down. So this is natural. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Reed. How are you?
What's up?
Oh, I'm doing fine. My question is, I see this thing every year about National Marina Day, and I was just wondering if your guest could explain that.
What about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Says, how about
National Marina Day?
How about the National Marina Day? What's that?
National Marina Day is it's actually a one-day event that is recognized throughout the country by marinas, and it's really meant as a celebration and awareness day for access to water. As far as getting on the water and going boating safety, and anything else that, you can think of is related to boating. Those are the two areas that we focus on really, is the boating safety part mainly, and also the access to the water. We have the Coast Guard come into our marina and they actually do safety inspections for each boat for free, and make sure everything's up to par safety equipment wise, and talk to you about safe boating, how to handle a boat, and how to take care of a boat. We'll have seminars on different things as far as, like we're talking about today, things on how to care for your boat, how to use a jet ski, some of the laws on being licensed for those things, just a general awareness of boating and the water around you.
Tell me, you talk about safety and everything. Do you need a license to drive a boat or whatever?
You do not. You do need a license right now to drive a personal watercraft, a jet ski.
Oh, you do?
Any age.
Now, how do you get a license for that?
It's an 8-hour course. That you take an 8-hour course, pass a test at the end, and you're licensed. So it's not a real intensive thing to get a license, and it does teach you a lot of safety things that you just may not know. There's a lot of people we have that even are licensed and still come in and take that course again just for a refresher once in a while, because there's a lot of things on there that you just kind of forget, or it's not in your forefront of your mind all the time.
What's the difference? Why do you need a license for the jet ski and the boat? What are the things you got to look for on the jet ski?
Well, overall, United States wise, there are more accidents with jet skis than there are with anything else on the water. So
what
that's
kind of
why
accidents? People running over people, or just falling off?
People running into things, running into other boaters, that type of thing. Unfortunately, most of those are alcohol related, so that's not really just a jet ski problem, but it does happen to fall into that group for some reason. So they decided to make that the law.
Yeah, you should teach the course.
Yeah. Now, and one thing too is that people don't know also is you do need a license to drive one if you own one. Now, we rent them at the marina, and you do not need a license. You fall under our license.
That's a weird law.
It is. We have a licensed operator on the water, so that's why you don't need a license, but that's one thing's a little bit different.
Oh, that's funny. So if you don't want a license, it's like a car, you get a rental, you don't need a driver's license.
And that is true. A lot of people think, well, instead of buying a jet ski and using it twice a year, I'll just rent one and I don't have to have a license. So that,
that's kind of funny.
It's an alternative anyway.
Yeah. Well, now we're talking about quite a bit about the safety business here. What are some of the things you need? We all know life jackets. You're supposed to have one for everybody on board, right?
Yes, sir. A life jacket for each person on board. And 12 and under have to wear that life jacket at all times.
They have to have it on if they're under 12?
Yes.
12 or under?
12 or under, yes.
They have to have it right on their back?
Yes.
The rest of them you can keep under the seats or something?
Correct, yeah, as long as you have one on the boat.
Yeah.
And along with that, you also need a flotation device, either a ring or one of the square cushions, one on the boat, to be able to throw to somebody that's in trouble.
Just throwing a life jacket on?
In emergency, that would work, but technically, to be legal, you need either the cushion or the ring.
What else do you need?
A fire extinguisher.
Oh, on every boat?
On every boat above 12 feet, I believe it is. And I should have brought that with me, but it's most boats on our lake. Yeah. And honestly, I recommend it on any boat with a motor. If you got a motor and gasoline present, hey, for the small price of a small fire extinguisher.
$11 you can buy a good fire extinguisher.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the $11, $12 to put one on your boat.
What about this rocket gun or whatever?
I was say here we're a little bit. We have two markets, as you know. Here we have Lake Erie, and then the inland lakes. They are different a little bit.
The Coast Guard runs the lake, Erie.
Lake Erie, yes.
They don't run Lake Chautauqua.
They do not. Chautauqua County Sheriff is on Lake Chautauqua.
So the Coast Guard regs require a flare gun?
Coast Guard, yes, they do require a flare gun. Lake Chautauqua requires 3 handheld flares, which is the small. They're not road flares, but they are similar in size to a road flare.
Could you use a low road flare? Would that pass muster?
It does not. It has to be a marine flare.
Marine flare?
Yes.
What's the difference?
The real difference is
besides the price, I'm sure.
The price is one of the big differences, honestly, yes. And the other difference, though, is being in the damp moisture all the time. Road flares just don't. They're just not going to last. They're going to attract that moisture, and they just won't. Won't last.
I keep flares in my car, and I found out that happened to them. So I wrap them very carefully in plastic bags.
Yes.
So the moisture doesn't get to them.
Yes.
Well, so these rocket guns, I understand, run about $50.
For the kit, they do. I think you're at $44.95 actually, and it comes with the gun and the handheld flares. And the other part that people forget about a lot is the SOS flag, the distress flag. Those 3 things come in that kit. And that is a great kit for Lake Erie. For our lake, you don't need that guns. You can have it, but you still also need the handheld flares. And the reason being, you know, on Lake Erie, if you shoot a flare up in the air, you've got a far enough distance there to be able to see that flare from shore.